What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Errol "The Truth" Spence. Errol Spence states that he will absolutely never betray Al Haymon. He will always be loyal to Al Haymon because Al Haymon has showed him things and prepared life for him after boxing. Okay, that was one of his reasons, well, really his dad's reason for wanting Al Haymon, because he was talking about life after boxing and how do you prepare and secure your money, like guys like Paul Walker that, you know, his career ultimately changed and ended, you know, tragically, and he wants to be that guy that follows a person that really wants his best interest. Okay, now Errol Spence said a lot of things. He said that Top Rank offered him and Golden Boy, and and then of course they went with Al Haymon because of that reason, because of loyalty, and because he wanted a life for him after boxing, which is great. He's good, and I notice and I understand why these fighters now are so loyal to him. He's somewhat like a godfather, but the problem with that lies with these guys, these fighters of Al Haymon. Have you noticed a trend, a pattern? Errol Spence, he knows that, and you can tell he's coached by this godfather, because they asked him, well, who would you want to fight? Like, well, do you need to fight Terrence Crawford, and then or something like that? He's like, well, no, you have still Manny Pacquiao. I'm taking on Porter. Then you got Danny Garcia. I could move to 154, right, and take on Lara, or he could fight Ugas. So he'll never step on Jermel's toes, because that's his buddy. Actually they're trained by the same fighter, I believe, same people. So he'll never step on his toes at 154. But then yet he mentioned going there. Then he mentions Crawford. See, what this tells me is, like I told you guys, if you guys pay attention to these videos, the last thing I said about Errol Spence, there will not be a Terrence Crawford fight. There won't be a Terrence Crawford fight. They don't want that fight. Al Haymon don't want that fight. Errol Spence does what Al Haymon tells him to do because he's the godfather. They don't want to cross the godfather. In other words, they're saying, I ain't saying shit that crosses the godfather, Al Haymon. That's technically what they're saying in a nutshell, all of them. The only person that's defying him is Gary Russell Jr. And Gary Russell Jr. fights once a year. He can't get the fights that he needs. He needs to pull a Floyd Mayweather in reverse, buy himself out of his contract, if there is a contract that exists like that for Gary Russell Jr., and go to the zone and somewhere else and just make his money and fight the best he could possibly fight there, because he's not going to get those fights because he is defying and crossing the godfather. Okay, well, back to Errol Spence. Errol Spence would rather go to 154, cross his buddy in his success at 154, than to fight Crawford. He said, if I don't fight Crawford, it won't be so bad because I can move up in weight. That tells you another thing. He's moving up in weight. That means that he has no problem making that weight. And if he has no problem making that weight, the question would be then, do you have problems in making 147? I seen him in this video, and this is the first time he looked a little slimmer in the face, and he looked, more chiseled than he normally does. Because if you notice, he's looking like he's in his mid-30s, and he's he's in his 20s, So he did look chiseled, or more, he looked thinner, okay? You can see it in his facial features and stuff like that. So, but it just lets you know. Someone like Terrence Crawford is a guy that, because you have people like Al Haymon and how he runs his fighters and how he coaches his fighters not really to fight the best, that's basically what that is in a nutshell. He doesn't really like to fight or compete with other fighters. That's why we won't see fights like Crawford and Spence. But the silver lining of this is, this is the silver lining. Errol Spence could be beaten, okay? He could be beaten by Sean Porter. You know, because it seems like that's really the best thing that you could hope for. Errol Spence really, you know, the interesting thing about Errol Spence is he's done very little in the sport of boxing, and his name is skyrocketed. And it's a great strategy. Give people the perception that you're a boogeyman. Give people the perception that people are ducking you, you know, by only targeting certain fighters. That's not the truth. The truth of the matter is nobody was really ducking Errol Spence, except for Keith Thurman. Sean Porter really didn't want to fight him, neither did Danny Garcia, because there was no money in it. Maybe they were concerned that they would lose because he is a good prospect at the time. But those guys on that side of the street, so does, Errol Spence created that term, didn't want to fight him. He couldn't get a fight with any of those guys, right? So he's just now getting a fight with Sean Porter because Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia, right? Now, this is 2019. He chased Keith Thurman for 2 years. For 2 years, he chased Keith Thurman, right? And Keith Thurman was out on injuries, but he wanted Keith Thurman. But then, yet, you got guys like Terrence Crawford moving up in weight. You don't want to fight him, right? You got to get a belt first. Okay. Mikey Garcia didn't have a belt at all. You easily made that fight. You welcomed that fight. Oh, you want to fight me? You can come on up. But when Crawford came there, you didn't want any Crawford. Oh, he on the other side of the street. Why would you make like those piss poor excuses not to fight a guy? Whereas you got a guy from 135, a little dude like Mikey Garcia. Fight him. Oh, okay, I can fight Mikey Garcia to give people the perception that I'm a badass. He's not a badass, people. But what I will say about Errol Spence is this. We will see Saturday what he's about. When it comes to fighting someone on a higher tier. Okay? And I'm not talking about a damaged ass Kell Brook. I'm talking about somebody that's coming to fight. We'll see what he's made out of. But for one thing is certain, he will not fight Terrence Crawford. You can forget about that fight. We should stop asking for that fight. We know who his boss is, his godfather. That fight ain't gonna happen, okay? And he is willing to go to 154 to show people that fight ain't gonna happen. Why would you even mention another weight class anyway? Right? Oh, Lara. You want to fight Lara now because everyone knows Lara is slowing down. Nobody wanted to fight Lara before. Keith Thurman didn't want none of Lara. When Keith Thurman was that guy that was the boogeyman and people, you better not duck me, son. That guy. Lara called him out. Nobody wanted none of that guy, but now everyone does. See, that's what they do. They were like, okay, if the guy is old or he's ready to be beaten because he's over the hill or he's missed a step, yeah, they have no problem fighting him. Or he's smaller, right? Or he's damaged. There's always some bullshit when it comes to those guys. Tank Davis, same thing. But I'll talk about Tank later because we got to see what Tank does at 135, give him the benefit of the doubt. But Errol Spence has been around for a while. And when he found out he could not get those fights that he wanted with Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, he should have started when his man down promotions, which that means nothing because he doesn't own him. See, that doesn't mean anything. He should just stop with that. Man down. Okay. But when he found out that he could not get those fights that he was targeting, he should have fought other people. He should have went to 154 then. Made his own claim. That's what you do when you want to be great, not hide behind a advisor / promoter / manager like Al Haymon and just say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, Be that, okay, yeah, whatever you say, boss, right? But anyway, we'll see what Errol Spence does Saturday night. I will give you guys a breakdown today between him and Sean Porter, a fight study and a prediction. Stay tuned for that. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.